Hey, everybody, welcome to the Forwards or Less podcast. Sorry we're not live today, having a little bit of technical difficulties with the streaming service we're using. So, won't bore you with that, but I'm Sam.
I'm Justin.
I'm the blue guy on the right, Blue Man Group. Woohoo.
Yeah, I'm the red face on the left. So let's
Oh,
get into it. We
I'm the
had
cloak
some,
and dagger over there with your red, like bloody,
yes, sir.
bloody
So you wanted to talk political hot button issues tonight.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. So, boys are boys and girls are girls, and boys cannot be girls and girls cannot be boys.
Got some controversial statements there, sir.
I feel like they're pretty factual statements. So I've been watching a lot of Joe Rogan a little bit here, and this is something he's been really, really big
Oh
on,
no, never a good
especially
idea.
especially when you start getting into competition, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh well, I was gonna say especially when you get into his moon landing conspiracy videos, but yeah, carry on.
oh, I haven't seen that yet. Okay,
Oh shit, those are fun.
okay. Anywho, so and so I was watching this with my wife the other day. I was watching the Olympics in Tokyo and got a phone call from a family friend or a cousin or whatever. And he was like, "What you doing?" I was like, "Watching the Olympics." He's like, "You're going woke?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's like the Olympics. They're going woke. So apparently, um, he didn't really let on to it. He was just probably going through the Facebook run of it. But
Mhm.
I don't know that he knew any specifics. But they allowed a man to compete in weightlifting as a woman.
Yep.
Yep. And it was just this kind of terrible looking middle aged man that trained for it a little bit, but not like he didn't look too terribly shredded like an Olympic weightlifting man would be. I guess when you take estrogen, it kind of screws that for you. But at the same time, like, man, he was just going through it. And then they asked the three medalists. He didn't medal, thank God. He didn't medal. And they asked the winners, like, what do you think about this awesome historic moment of, you know, our first trans athlete, blah, da, da. And they long paused for a minute. And one of the women leaned forward and just said, no, thank you. And that was it.
Done.
Done. So, what are your thoughts? Definitely not
Man,
fair in competition, right?
no, certainly not. And it's like, all I'm gonna say is there are a whole lot of like feminist activists and their allies. This is what you wanted. Those chickens are finally coming home to roost. It's like,
Yep.
you kept saying that you wanted to be inclusive and support people even to the points where it didn't make any sense, and so now this is what you get.
Yep.
It's
This
like,
absolute nonsense of a man competing against women and then
yeah,
like
and they're it's
whipping
not just the
him.
Olympics. We're seeing it all over the place,
Was some
from
dude
high
for the
school and
record? It was
college
some dude
sports
from
to.
New Zealand, but it's not gonna. So you definitely didn't see it from like a Western country. It definitely came from like an Easternized, or not an Eastern country, but it came from like a
Oh yeah,
Westernized country. Of course it did,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
So interesting to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I'll be honest, I think it's going to really set back um women's sports for decades. Not that they were, as popular as men's sports to begin with, but I mean, now you're going to see a whole lot of
Yeah. Who?
female athletes losing, scholarships and positions on teams and things like that, right?
Right, because
Eventually
who would
women's
want to
sports will
compete in
become.
that?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
and
fair.
there's no money in it if you don't win. So if people say that, trans athletes are legitimate, I'll tell you what, you're going to have a whole lot of teams out there that are, female teams full of all trans athletes
And
just
nobody's going to want
so
to
that they can
watch
win.
that. Nobody's going to want to
No.
watch that absolute fucking nonsense, you know? Because it
Yep.
doesn't make any sense. It is a dude with a man's bone structure, a man's muscular, like build, and then all of a sudden he changes his mind, wants to start taking hormone therapy to become a woman. And
Yeah.
like, do you think you're suddenly going to shed that muscle difference between a man and a woman all of a sudden, like lose 30% of your muscle mass just because you decided to start going by a Sheila's name instead of a bloke?
Yeah.
It's not the same, and it's not fair at all. That's for
No,
sure.
definitely not.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And then there was another one. I think this one's been around for a minute. I think this was in the. I think he was allowed to qualify for track and field. It was some kind of track and field event, but it was an Olympic runner. It was a dude who claimed to be a woman, and they allowed him to compete in track and field. And he just
Yeah.
was like, it was the difference was so vast. Like he's not in the bottom 50% at all, and he
Yeah.
got a lot of coverage too. I don't know, man. What do you think about all this shit getting coverage? Nobody's watching the Olympics though this year, supposedly
Yeah.
because of COVID and all that too, though. So
Yeah. I don't know. I just never really gave a shit to begin with, about any of the like. I've never watched sports. You know that about me.
yeah,
I I've never really cared, and so quite frankly, this has no effect on me personally, regardless, right? Like I
yeah,
could give a shit what professional athletes want to do or not do because I never supported it to begin with. But it'll be definitely interesting to see from like a business standpoint how many places start to lose branding and sponsorships and things like that. Because if the Olympics doesn't have eyes on it, they don't make money,
yeah. Okay,
right?
so I'll say this. Well, now we're getting into the Olympics in general, right? It's like,
Hmm.
so I don't support the idea of just paying people to play sports for the most part, but com- I do like the idea of friendly competition with other countries. Because I think the Olympics is something that we can all, as an Earth, come together about rather than, and it's just a good time to enjoy, and it strengthens nationalism in almost every country, especially the big ones, right? So,
Yeah,
um, I do like the Olympics for that, but I don't like glorifying professional athletes who do it, on a yearly basis. I'm okay with like the Olympic athletes, but I'm not okay with like our own National Football League and Baseball League and Basketball League. I don't like sports in that sense, because
yeah.
that's just too many. You just create your own celebrities at that point. Not only that, but I went to see a Braves game, and those fuckers don't run to save their life. It's all rigged.
Yeah.
They're not real athletes. They're just there to collect a paycheck. They were good at it in high school. Got recruited. And then, big corporate man tells them, "Hey, we're gonna throw this game because Pepsi is got a lot of advertisement money into the other team." You know,
Now there's a hot take.
yeah.
So you're saying that it's all rigged, huh? All the
I'm not
proceeds.
even shitting you, bro. I'm not even shitting you, bro. I went to go see a Braves game in person, and like I know what running your ass off looks like. Like your lips can move to the side. Like it. A good baseball game happens when somebody is trying to steal home. Like don't try and steal first base. Try to take them all while they're not looking. Be ballsy and go for it.
Hmm.
But it was just the laziest display of sportsmanship that I've ever seen in my entire life. People jogging from base to base. I can play baseball better than that, and I can't hit the fucking ball.
I'm sure baseball aficionados would disagree with you, but
Yeah, fuck you. It's rigged. Not only that, but they don't even sell chili cheese dogs in the stadium. What the fuck is baseball without chili cheese dogs? I went to every single restaurant in that stadium, which it's the same four names,
yeah,
all owned by the same brand, because they don't
yep,
allow people to actually come in. There's no diversity in the restaurants in
yep.
the
That's
stadium.
also why
It's a
everything's like
monopoly.
$8.
Right, it's a monopoly. Instead of them just charging like regularly, so you get some variety and stuff like that. But no, like
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore.
we don't do
So
that here.
dude, what a like take a good classic piece of American history and like American nationalism and just shit all over it. Yeah, I'm very convinced that they're telling him, backstage they're like, hey, we're losing this game, but we're losing it with a score of 17-12. Like the score is predetermined before the game even begins. It's acting and it's bullshit. When's the last time you heard of a serious injury in baseball?
Oh, players get them all the time. Most of the time, it's from training though.
Yeah, nobody's like it's all about don't get hurt so you can be at the next game because we need you for the advertisement, and then beyond that it's like do what you're told. I really don't think they're trying.
All right. This episode's just one half hot take after the next. So let's pivot for a little bit here and talk about the withdrawal from Afghanistan because I know that was something you wanted to touch on.
Yeah. What do you think? Should we be there or not?
I didn't believe we should be there in the first place. I'm
I
happy to
agree.
see that we're finally pulling out, but I think it could have been handled better. Actually, I know it could have been handled better.
It could have been handled a hell of a lot better. So that's where my lack in this current understanding of everything is going on. I know I just all of a sudden I was in town for some paperwork stuff that I had to do in the local like county office or whatever, and I saw on the news that Kabul was getting overrun by the Taliban, and so that's when I started paying attention to it. I was like, oh fuck, okay, well what's going on there? We haven't heard from the Taliban in quite a while, like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Um, so what brought all this on to begin with?
I don't know what originally sparked the this latest call for the withdrawal of troops, but it all happened pretty quick. I mean, it was over in like a few days. We didn't really have that many assets there to begin with, but we were still pouring in a lot of money. But it's like once we basically made our intentions to withdraw clear, the entire Afghan army just rolled over.
Yeah,
They were done.
dude.
And so there were like a few holdouts, like Afghan special operations forces that had been trained by us and stuff like that. But there were, they were in like little pockets. There'd be like 10 of them in a village, and there'd be a few hundred Taliban, and so
Yeah.
they were all executed.
So
Um,
me knowing what importance goes behind like military movements and stuff like that. Everybody's complaint is that we're not doing anything about it. The public stance is just get to an airport and we'll see what we can do for you. It's like meanwhile the Taliban has control of Kabul and all the main airstrips are just absolutely surrounded and we don't have any air bases anymore in the region.
yeah,
So it's like what are you going to do? But I think what people forget is that like the United States military is not going to share their strategy for withdrawing 10,000 people with the public like that when there's the Taliban army has become bolstered and is like a real problem. You think that's going to make the news, the strategy that they're employing? So I'm sure like our guys have got it handled. Um, but at the same time, it would be nice to see some progress and some reassurance from people saying, like, hey, we're on it. We're just currently not sharing our plan with the public right now. But man, what a shit show. I'll tell you this much. I think Afghan men. I saw this picture of a bunch of people either at the border or at the airport, just kind of surrounded. And you see quite a few women and children, and a lot of men. Like even though some of them are older, they're still like 50 or below. Good fighting age, good solid thinking men, right?
hmm
Where the fuck are you guys? Why are you letting this happen to your country? You know?
well, they gave up the ghost. Like I said, all the people in the Afghan military, right? They were basically just mercenaries. They were there because it paid better than being a dirt farmer.
Yeah. And they're all
So,
horribly drug addicted, cowardly, and
oh my, more hot takes.
I'm
All right,
dead. Like,
bring it on.
dude, take fucking control of your country. Like, Daddy America is not going to do it for you all of the time. And we spent 10 years training these pricks, giving them equipment, pouring tax dollars into that region, like good, solid trainers, you know?
Yeah.
And what have we got to show for it? Some dude in a Tundra, Toyota Tundra with a 50 BMG just steamrolled right through your entire fucking city and just took it in a matter of hours. What the fuck happened? Where are your balls? Where's your courage? And you're letting them tell you how to run your country, and they can do whatever they want to your women and your children because you won't stop them, because you won't put down the hookah long enough to fucking grab your balls, you know.
Uh,
It's pathetic.
so now here's the next question. So the British tried it when they were an empire. The Russians tried it. We've tried it. Do you think China will be next at bat for a land invasion of Afghanistan?
Who gives a shit? It's all just desert and fucking oil. Just let them fucking sell their oil.
Uh,
You know, who gives a shit? Just let them be.
Honestly,
It's a money pit. It's a money pit. It's a hopeless region.
I'd be down to see China get embroiled in a 20 or 30-year war in Afghanistan.
Yeah, fuck China. I'm down for whatever just drains their pockets. I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let them go play in the desert for a few decades.
Yeah, go pound sand, fuckers.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. That's how can that happen so quickly? You know, that just blows my mind that we're just
yeah,
so hands tied behind our back that it's not a total bloodbath coming from
yeah.
our end. Because we have the capability and the ferocity to do so. We're just so cucked by our government that we can't fight back when we need to.
Yeah. And honestly, how it sh- that's how this should have been handled if we were going to invade in the first place.
Right.
You know, the U.S. military is not a peacekeeping force.
No, and it shouldn't be. It's
It's
not
not
a
the intent that
police
it was built
force.
with.
Right.
Yeah, like if you want to do peacekeeping and humanitarian aid and stuff like that, call up the UN and send in the blue helmets, even though you know it'll never happen.
Right. Yep.
But
Yep. I don't know. What a shit show. What a shit show.
yeah,
Definitely need to pray for those people.
yeah,
Uh,
they're in for a rough, probably 5 to 10 years.
oh, 20 if we don't, you know, if somebody doesn't do something about it. And it has to come from within. Because
Yeah,
if it never comes from within, then you're just, man, either that or just fucking conquer that nation already. You know,
return to colonialism.
hey, no shit. Like, how else are you gonna fix that thing?
I mean, I've been saying we should annex Canada and Mexico for years.
Maybe you're welcome, Canada.
Yeah. There is no North America anymore. There is just America. We
Right.
own it all.
um, something I saw. Oh shoot, what was it? It was uh, it was really weird that I saw recently. Um,
You looking in a mirror?
no, okay, thanks. No, it was that I think it was something cool that we have as Americans, that certain countries that are like American territory, like Guam, American Guam, and the American Samoa, they have this.
Hmm.
I can't remember what it was. I'll have to circle back around to it. But it was almost like they could send Olympic athletes, even though they're from like American Samoa, something along those lines or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it
My
beats
mind's
me.
a minefield.
Yeah, that's right.
So, um, all right. Well, I guess we're moving along from that because no, I don't think either of us are in a position to say much more about it. Shit sucks. Good
No,
luck, guys.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is something that I want to talk about. So, um, I have had absolutely fuck all to do at work for like the past 8 days.
Hmm.
And so I've been doing these online trainings through think the website's called Pluralsight, but it's like your Udemy, your Skillshare, any of those type of sites, and they actually have a bunch of really great courses for the aspiring computer programmer and web developer. So I want to talk about alternatives for traditional college education for a
Oh,
little bit
that's
here.
perfect. I was just listening to Mike Rowe talk about something. He's a huge proponent of not going to college these days if you don't
Yeah.
need to. So
And he has the experience to show for it. Like he's
actually,
had a
actually, he has a degree
yeah.
in,
I think he has a master's, doesn't he?
I don't know, but he has a college degree, and
Yeah.
it's in like acting. It's in some kind of acting realm. It's like acting for the
Yeah.
camera, or like classical theater, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
But
interesting. Funny how
yeah,
that
no.
worked out, huh?
Yeah. But he has a lot of business experience is actually what I was talking about.
Ah, okay. Do you know he's an
So
Eagle Scout?
yeah, he's got a lot of accolades under his belt.
Mm.
But I meant yeah, from a business perspective, the man's built like I think three or four successful businesses pretty much from the ground up. Um, and he really, kind of knows what it takes. And I think he's right when he says that, a lot of young people don't need to go to college.
A lot of young
And
people shouldn't go to college.
that's a fact.
Just straight up, just don't go. Don't go unless you know what you want to do and you're willing to put the investment in for it.
Yeah. And like really, you need the investment. So that's what I wanted to talk about is kind of, alternatives to the typical 4-year degree because that's the path I went down. And, I think my degree definitely helped me land a job. But realistically, even for some fairly complex fields like programming, there's a lot of online resources out there that can be had for, a fraction of the cost of a 4-year degree that are more than enough if you're willing to put in the work to land you a job.
So I don't think the problem gets solved overnight like that. I think the problem is with the employer. I think we have to not stigmatize not going to college. There's like a stigma that goes with not going to college, and I think it's that I think it's a laziness in hiring that a lot of recruiters just automatically go for these high points, and they've got these programs that sift through resumes for them, right? That
Yeah.
that will highlight college experience versus trying to figure out what the hell this certificate program is all about and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
I think part of that though is the fact that a college degree, at least the it used to show that you had kind of maintained a minimum standard, that you were semi-professional and even back in the day literate and things like that, and that's what they were. That's kind of why a college degree used to be the separator between blue collar and white collar jobs, right?
mhm.
But nowadays it's just basically another easy check mark where you hope that if whoever's in possession of that degree has at least a little bit of some of the soft skills that you'd pick up at university and like certain basic hygiene and decency standards, I suppose. So it's just another easy check mark filter for them.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, you know, I definitely support alternative means of education. So for certain certificates and stuff and licenses, you have to sit for like federal tests. So for like the AMP, the air plant and power plant or airframes and power plant licensing that aviation mechanics have to sit through, you have the option of going to a 2 year school to qualify you for it, or you can get 2 years worth of experience and then you qualify to sit for the test. Certain titles, they'll let you sit for the test. Um,
Mm.
but even then, you have to study your butt off to get this thing, right?
Yeah.
So even in that case, I would say don't go to the 2 year school if you can't afford it. Just get an old A&P textbook, get you a job in an airport working adjacent to aircraft, and study. Like, read the textbooks, quiz yourself on it, and get the study material for it. You just have to be disciplined enough for it. But I think that's what a lot of people pay the money for is that they're not disciplined enough to learn that um, not not necessarily not disciplined enough, but they just don't learn that way either. Either they're not
Yeah.
disciplined enough or they don't learn that way. But I know some people who are disciplined enough and they do have a fascination with reading and learning a lot of things like in that way. And they do, but just or they just they're right there and then just squander it and don't do it. I don't understand. Like I know this one guy, he's got the textbooks and he's got the interest, but he just hasn't pulled the trigger on it. And he works adjacent to aircraft. And so I don't understand why he wouldn't make that push, even though it's almost handed to him like on a silver platter. And he just keeps going back to work these shitty jobs for low pay. And I don't understand it. It's not you you don't have to go to the school for it and pay all that crazy amounts of money because at least in the state that you and I are from, um, in that state, the only aviation school is like it's in the state capital and it's like really expensive. It's almost as expensive as going to a 4 year college at this point. It's like $32,000 to get a 2 year degree. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's like, like you said, some people just aren't going to be driven enough to do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they
Oh,
just need a push in the right direction, but other
so
times you can tell it's just like their heart's not in it and they're just not willing to put in the effort.
yeah. So, what do you think about this? Something Mike Rowe said that I think was pretty impactful, and I think I heard it somewhere else as well. It phrased differently, but somewhere else. I think I heard it from like a pastor or something like that. Why does what you do have to define? Because we live in a society where it seems that what you do defines your worth instead of your worth coming from you as a person and you finding worth in other things, make your own worth. Like why does a janitor have to be looked down upon? Or why does being a janitor have to mean that you're unhappy with your life? Why can't you be a janitor, kick ass at it, be a friendly guy, and just live life, you know?
Well, I think it's something, honestly, in part that's kind of um, uniquely American, right? It's part of the American dream. It's like if you're just, you know, living day to day as a janitor, it means that you have no drive, no ambition, no reason, no desire to succeed above your station, and you're
Fuck that.
not
Start out as a
hustling
janitor,
for money.
work your way and start your own janitorial company.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do
But
the work, why not bust ass? If you want to start mowing lawns, somebody will look down at you
mhm,
for being a landscaper. But then when you have 10, 15, and then 30 properties under your wing and you've hired your buddy and bought an extra lawnmower and you're starting to grow a company and a brand for yourself, then it becomes something a little less to laugh at. And that dude is making money, right?
yep. But then at that point, you're talking about a numbers game, right? How many janitors do you know that have started their own janitorial business, and how many janitors do you know that go home and drink a six pack and smoke a joint and wake up and do it all again the next day,
Yeah, who
right?
knows? But it only takes the one out of 20 to start the company and start hiring the joint smokers.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying though. It's like you're asking the question, why are some fields looked down upon more than others, right? And that's why. It's because you don't find nearly as many interesting, creative, driven, whatever people in certain fields, and that's because that's partially a societal thing, and that's partially just a pay and desire thing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
What people are searching for.
Yeah. So, what do you think will be the business that if you had to do it all again, what would you do?
Honestly, I wouldn't change a damn thing.
Yeah, I
This
think
I
my.
wish like if I was going to change something, I would change the order in which I did things.
Mhm.
I would have only gone to tech school for 1 year instead of 3. I would have spent some extra time at my 4 year school, and I probably would have gone for either a double major or continued so that I was almost finished with my master in
Yeah.
5 years. That's probably what I would have changed. But other than that, I'm really happy where I'm at.
Yeah, I think something that I might end up doing. Um, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at as well. I just wish I had a little more hardworking experience as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have like spent a summer as a ranch hand or something like that, or a farm
Oh,
worker.
that's fair.
Just to have that under my belt. But other than that, or something fun like being a guide, a wilderness guide or something like that in Northern Tier. Doing
Yeah.
canoe stuff on the Canadian border would have been cool. Something to build some
I definitely would
stories.
have. Yeah, I definitely would have enjoyed doing some more technical internships. But well, I've been working since I was 13.
Yeah,
So,
I'm talking about like actual, like hard physical labor. I just
mhm,
wish I had some more of that under me. But but I think the one that I would do is, and I might do, who knows, because I want to build a shop of my own someday. Is just slowly start to buy all these tools that I'm gonna have and sell them, use them. Why not give access to that to other people in one facet or another, whether that's the ability to come in and make your own stuff and start a maker space, like a local maker space, just lease a shop, an industrial thing, call it a shop.
mhm.
I've seen this, they have one here. They
Yep.
charge like $20 a month and you get access to all these tools. Um, Not to mention people with know how surround that area. Um,
Right.
so I think that would be kind of cool. Starting a range would be kind of neat. Oh, yo. So check this out. This was a neat idea. Thinking about businesses that you can do without a huge startup cost. Um, Something's funky with my computer right now. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? You there?
Yeah, you're good there.
Okay. You dropped out for a minute. Discord was doing some funky stuff. Um, Anywho, so speaking of businesses you could start for like a low startup cost. So if you have land, a couple things you can do. One's like start a golf course, right? It's going to
A lot
cost
of
a lot.
land, but
Yeah, well, 5, 10 acres. It's not a lot, not a ton, but it's starting to become that way though. That seems like a lot, which is kind of
yeah.
weird to me growing up where it did. Anyways, went to this golf course. This is what my wife did for my birthday. We do trips instead of presents. We do fun birthday dates. Took me to a golf course. I don't own clubs, so I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Mhm.
They have soccer balls that you can kick around on the golf course, and you can play foot golf. And they have holes and flags and everything, and you play right next to the actual golfers on the course, like you play nine holes, but with a soccer ball.
Huh.
Yeah, what an interesting thing, huh?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't just have rental clubs for you, but I guess that's one way to do it.
Apparently they do there. They're not like
Okay.
rentals, but you could borrow clubs that they have left behind at that
Ah,
particular one. I know other places will rent you a bag of clubs and stuff like that. But think about it
mhm.
this way. That's brilliant. Every golf course in the United States should do that. Every public golf course at least.
I was
Um,
gonna say you'd piss off a lot of the country club types
yeah, yeah. But if it's a
playing
public
soccer on a
course
golf
and
course. But
anybody
yeah,
from
that's
the
fair.
road can walk up and pay and play 9 holes, I think that you
Yeah.
should do that because that's just a money making machine. You dig a 2 foot hole and put another flag in it. It's not even on the green, so you don't have to worry about the high maintenance of the green itself because you're kicking a soccer ball around. You don't need a green. You just put it
Mm,
adjacent to the green and take it on in. But it's low cost because all you got to do is dig a hole, plant a flag because you've already got the golf course. You're allowing people that don't already have golf clubs to be introduced into the sport and like the style of the way that the game is scored. You open it up to kids who otherwise might not have an opportunity to do it. You open it up to families that can do it without just, it's not just dad and his expensive golf clubs, right?
yeah,
It's just so smart. So smart. And it was fun too.
there
It
you
was a
go.
lot of fun. So that's one business idea you can do. If you got land, that
Yeah,
doesn't take much. That and frisbee golf, I guess. I don't like frisbee golf as much. It doesn't appeal to me as much.
yeah.
There's some strategy to it, but with frisbee golf, I feel like there's not much of a strategy because you don't have to play the land, you know. But with
I think.
golf, you have to do kind of a terrain analysis, especially with the soccer ball, because that sucker's going to roll downhill. So
Mm,
you gotta hedge your bets on, can I make it that far to that flat spot, even though there's this large gully in between me and it, or if I hit short, am I going to get screwed, or should I short stroke it and go around? You know,
yeah.
it's an interesting game. Have you ever played golf?
I've done some. Like I've never played a full 9 holes. I've done some.
It's a full 18. Is
Yeah, I mean, I've never even done a half course though, because that
Yeah,
would be that. Like I have such little experience that I wouldn't even be able to do 18. I think I've done 3 holes, 3 or 4, something like
it's
that.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I've done 9 holes a couple of times. It's a lot of fun. It's very time consuming on some
Yeah, it is.
courses. It's like a 4 hour morning.
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
godfather used to play like 2 games a week. They'd be out there for. They'd get there at like 7 and play till noon. Either one.
Interesting. So along the lines of that makerspace, I might be using it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
that's
look.
pretty cool if they have something like that in your area.
Yeah. So I just sold my canoe before
Yeah.
we finished moving out here,
Hmm.
and um, I would really like to get back out on the water one way or another. And that either means buying a canoe, which out here, not a lot of people are selling it because there's not a lot of water out here. Um,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of people out here either. Um, but
I thought you had something else, like a little one-seater cat. Well, I guess that wouldn't work for you and the wife.
one seater kayak, I sold that to buy the canoe.
Ah, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't realize that.
yeah. So, so I sold the canoe, and now I'm thinking about either buying another canoe or I'm thinking about building a canoe.
Yeah, that sounds about like you.
Yeah, that might be a nice long garage project through the winter kind of thing.
Yeah.
It, I've been looking at these skin on frame designs that this one guy has. It looks like it's quite doable. And that makerspace gives me access to a table saw and a planer.
Do they give you storage space for it though? Because there's no way you're fitting that thing into your apartment, even
I
half
have a
assembled.
garage.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I pay a little extra. It's like
Ah, okay. So
150
it's the
bucks a month
detached
or
thing like
something.
we had at the place we used to live.
Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
it's a
okay. Gotcha.
detached
Gotcha.
garage, but a garage no less.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm thinking about it, but I'm pretty, money's pretty tight right now. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. I just need something to keep me busy that isn't a computer.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping busy, so what do you think is going to be your next? Because we both have small projects that we work on time to time for various things, and the canoe's obviously something more long term. If I know you, you've got something cooking up in the short term at least, right?
Hmm, maybe things here or there. You know, I mean, I made a hat rack the other day that
Yeah. There you
I
go.
can hang my big hats on. But that took me no time at all to build.
Yeah.
Just stained a block of a chunk of wood and put
Yeah.
some hat hooks on it and called it a day.
Yeah. That's something else I think is important is, kind of having small tasks that you can, work your way through that contribute to something and you get to see a finished product at the end of it.
Yeah,
It's not something that people do a lot these days, but it's valuable.
I'd like to get a 3D printer. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one of the cheap little the Ender 3s or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd go with a PLA printer just because they're so
Yeah.
easy to maintain. But I know a guy that got a resin printer because they do such precise parts. He prints out
Yeah.
his own die for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So they're pretty balanced. The weight balance and distribution and stuff like that matters in those. So it's pretty neat. So I sent him an STL file today to kind of improve that hat rack because they're my big hats. They're almost like Stetsons. They're Outback hats, um,
Hmm.
wide brim and all. But they'll get deformed if you just hang them on a hook for a while. They'll leave a little bit of an indent there where the hook was. So
Hmm.
I had I catted up a piece, or I designed rather, if you don't know what that means. I designed a little piece that'll just it has a little dimple in it that recesses right into the hat hook that's already there, and then it just kind of gives it almost an umbrella shape, more like a head shape, a nice big curve, a big chunk of plastic that it'll go on to just keep the shape of the hats better while they're hanging on the wall. So
There you go.
yeah, pretty interesting. So I sent that off to him, and he should be able to print those no problem and mail them to me. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool. That was
Cool.
something else
See,
too. Is
I
like
knew
I've
you'd have
got
something like that
access.
cooking.
Yeah, I've got access to this tool, and like I know a guy that can operate the tool for me. So that's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
um, it took me maybe 10 minutes to do that, and you have to know like the intricacies of that tool to be able to design a part to be created on that tool. So that's
Yeah.
pretty neat. But so for this one, I made it hollow and made it and put a drain hole in it so that it could drain all the resin out of it, when it's done printing. So it's not
Yeah.
super duper wasteful or overly heavy or anything like that. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll send him a hat hook and he can print himself one up because he's got a big hat that he likes wearing all the time too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah.
What else is new in your world? What you got
Not a
cooking?
whole lot, honestly. I've been just working like crazy. So the part of the reason why I've had this break where I haven't been doing anything is because I was working like 9-hour days.
Yeah,
I was given a task and it turned out to be way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
yeah.
So
I'm
ended up having to
trying to
make up some
work
lost
nine
time.
hour days. It's hard. I'm
Yeah.
trying to pull extra hours just to
Yeah. Well, and you get paid
make
by
some
the
money.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not? Are you salary based?
No, I'm salary.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I just had to hit the deadline, but I knew I was going to have time post deadline where I wasn't going to be doing anything. So it's like now I'm getting paid to sit on my thumbs.
Right.
And since I work from home, that's not nearly as big a deal.
Right.
So that's why I was happy to do it. But I am now that I'm taking all of these trainings, I'm getting a better understanding. So as a software dev, I work with like I don't know, probably 15 different tools. And of those tools, being a junior developer, I understand 3 or 4. Uh, so this has been kind of an opportunity for me to start to learn a little bit more about some of the other tools that I see but don't use on a day-to-day basis. And I'm actually looking at building a little kind of demo app just to see what I've learned. And it's not going to be anything too crazy complicated, but I'm looking at basically making a little tracker system for a game that I play, and I'm gonna, turn it out and let people give me some feedback on it and things like that. It's still just in the design phases now because I'm still learning the tech that I'm gonna need to use to build it, but
Hmm. There's
it
this
should be
guy
pretty
that
neat once
kind of
it's done.
bridges the gap between you and I on
Oh yeah.
mechanical and programming. Um, uh, you might want to write this down and check him out.
Sure.
He's on YouTube. It's I like to make stuff.
There you
No,
go.
no, not I. No, it's Stuff Made Here. Two different YouTube
Okay.
channels. Sorry, Stuff Made Here. Um, but it's this engineer who worked. He actually worked for the company that made the 3D printer that my buddy has, the resin printer. Um,
Oh.
and then I guess he got a lot of money from that and the opportunity presented itself for him to be able to make a living off of YouTube because he had the startup cost to float it for a couple of months and funded some of his product projects. He built his own CNC machine and stuff like that when he was in college, and so that's pretty cool. But he makes all kinds of stuff, and he made this one this week. So his original one, I think this was the video that really, really blew up for him. Either that or it was the first one that I saw of him. He made a he made a basketball hoop. It's mounted on a large wall, and you cannot miss. Like you could be the worst basketball player in the world, but if you can make a shot hit the wall, the hoop moves to get the ball into the hoop. So it's got like a complex camera, like it tracks
Yeah.
the ball's movement and then calculates where it's going to be and its velocity and stuff like that, and then moves it into the location it needs to be in to be able to do that. And he has to do a ton of programming and stuff. And
Yeah.
so every episode, just about, he's got this week or two that's like he calls it integration hell, where his program just constantly breaks for one reason or another, and he has to just
Yeah, because you're trying to get
constantly
all the systems working
right.
together.
It's either mechanical or software, and most of the time there's a lot of software bugs that he has to make out, uh, iron out and fix and stuff. It's pretty cool. And this week I saw one. He made a bow and arrow that is mounted to your arm that has some servos and stuff like that and moves and tracks a target and will you cannot miss with this bow and arrow. But it's
That's pretty wild.
it's user mounted
Yeah.
though. It's not the other way around. Like it doesn't track the projectile and you can hit a moving target with it. So he was having discs launched into the air and like target discs and he was hitting them.
Hmm.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool. You might want to check him out. It's pretty neat. I think he does need to get into the coding side because I'm sure he would be surprised at how many geeks actually watch his stuff. Pretty neat though.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you
All
can
right.
do with a little bit of time and
Yeah.
programming and stuff
Know
like
how.
that. Yeah, yeah, and the tools to do so.
Yeah,
So yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, we're right at about an hour here, so do you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
yeah. We'll go ahead. I guess thanks for keeping up with us. We're all over the place today, all the way from Afghanistan to your own garage. So thanks for listening. I'm not even sure what to title this thing today, but we'll get it
Yeah,
done.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So thanks for watching. Sometimes we're moving forwards, sometimes it's a little less. Uh, and be sure to like, share, subscribe, share it with a friend, tell a friend to watch this podcast, please. Um, and just thanks for tuning on in. And we'll see you guys next time.
Take care, everyone.